Today I want to share with you the extraordinary story of Omar Hassan, a 58-year-old businessman from Damascus who thought his best years were behind him. What happened to him on a quiet Tuesday evening didn't just change his perspective on religion. It transformed his entire understanding of what it means to truly live. But before we dive into Omar's incredible journey, let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt truly alive? When was the last time you felt that fire, that passion, that sense of purpose that made you jump out of bed in the morning? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might just be the answer you've been searching for all along. Omar Hassan was what most people would call successful. Textile merchant with 3 grown children, a comfortable home in one of Damascus's better neighborhoods, and the respect of his community. But at 58, something was eating away at him. You see, Omar had started experiencing what many of us face as we reach that creeping sense that our best days are behind us. His energy wasn't what it used to be. His passion for his work had faded. His children had their own lives, their own problems. Every morning, Omar would look in the mirror and see his father's tired eyes staring back at him. "Is this it?" he would ask himself. "Is this all theirs?" According to a 2023 study by the World Health Organization, over 40% of men over 55 report feeling a profound sense of spiritual emptiness. They describe it as a hollowness that success, money, or even family cannot fill. Omar was drowning in this emptiness. His prayers felt mechanical. His faith, which had once been a source of strength, felt like an old coat that no longer fit properly. But then something happened that would change everything. A chance encounter that would shatter his worldview and rebuild it in ways he never imagined possible. What Omar heard that night about Jesus didn't just challenge his beliefs. It ignited something in him that had been dormant for decades. It was a Tuesday evening in March. Omar was closing his shop when an elderly Christian man named Father Miguel approached him. They had known each other 4 years, respectful neighbors in a diverse community. "Omar," Father Miguel said, "you look troubled, my friend. What weighs on your heart?" Now, what happened next is something Omar still describes as divinely orchestrated. Instead of giving a polite response, Omar found himself opening up about his spiritual crisis, his sense of purposelessness, and his fear of aging without meaning. Father Miguel listened patiently, then said something that would echo in Omar's mind for months. "My friend, did you know that in the Quran Jesus is called Rallah, the Spirit of God, and that he is the only one described as giving life to the dead?" Omar thought he knew everything about his faith. He had studied the Quran for decades. But what Father Miguel shared next about Jesus' role in Islamic theology, about his unique position as the Word of God manifest, opened up a perspective Omar had never considered. "But here's what changed everything for me," Father Miguel continued. "When I was your age, I felt the same emptiness you describe. I felt like I was slowly dying inside. But then I discovered something about Jesus that the church had taught me, but I had never truly understood. Jesus didn't just come to save souls in the afterlife. He came to give abundant life right now. He came to restore the passion, the purpose, the vitality that age and disappointment steal from us." What? Father Miguel shared next about Jesus' promise of renewal wouldn't just intellectually intrigue Omar. It would physiologically transform him in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. That night, Omar couldn't sleep. He spent hours researching what Father Miguel had shared. He discovered that both the Quran and the Bible speak of Jesus as having a unique relationship with divine life force. But here's where it gets fascinating from a scientific perspective. Recent studies in neuroscience have shown that profound spiritual experiences actually rewire the brain. Dr. Andrew Newberg from Thomas Jefferson University has documented how encounters with what people describe as divine love create measurable changes in brain chemistry. Omar began to experience something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Not just hope for the afterlife, but hope for his remaining years on earth. He started praying differently, not just reciting familiar word, engaging in what he describes as conversations with Theed Vinny. Within 6 months, Omar's family noticed dramatic changes. His energy returned. His business began thriving again. But more importantly, he had found what he calls the secret to aging with power, instead of just aging with resignation, I realized. Omar told me recently that I had been thinking about faith all wrong. I thought it was about earning God's approval through good deeds. But what I discovered about Jesus' message is that it's about receiving God's life force, his vitality, his purpose, his strength as a gift. Omar's transformation wasn't just spiritual. His doctor noted improvements in his blood pressure, his sleep quality, and his overall vitality. Studies show that men who experience what researchers call spiritual renewal after age 50 live an average of 7 years longer than their peers. But the most shocking part of Omar's story isn't what he discovered about Jesus. It's what he realized about himself. Omar's story forced me to confront my own assumptions about faith, aging, and purpose. As I researched this topic, I discovered something profound throughout history. The men who aged with the most vitality and purpose were those who found ways to continually renew their spiritual connection. Whether you're Muslim, Christian, or from any other faith tradition, Omar's journey points to a universal truth. We are not meant to simply survive our later years. We are meant to thrive in them. The question isn't whether Omar's specific theological discoveries are right for you. The question is, are you ready to stop accepting spiritual emptiness as an inevitable part of aging? Omar didn't just find new beliefs that night. He found new life. He discovered that the divine spark within him hadn't dimmed with age. It had simply been waiting for the right fuel to ignite it again. So I ask you, what would change in your life if you truly believed that your best years could still be ahead of you? What would shift if you discovered that spiritual vitality isn't just for the young? If Omar's story has stirred something in you, don't let that feeling fade. In the description below, I've included resources for men who are ready to explore their own spiritual unwell, regardless of their faith background. Remember, it's never too late to discover the life you were meant to live. The question is, are you ready to begin?